Everyone has their preferred rig for fishing for gar off a beach, but sometimes that rig just doesn't seem to work. You can see the fish out there just swimming around your float, but they don't want to bite. At least, this is often my experience. However, in recent years, I've discovered a way that often overcomes this problem. I change my rig. If my current rig isn't working, I change to my next rig, and so on. This rig is favoured by many. It has one hook above the float and one hook below. Here I'm using a number 10 short shank hook baited with 2 jets. I put the hook through as much of the gent as possible, as gar appear to go for the taste of the gent, hence the gents don't have to be wriggling. I actually rip the jets a little when I put them on, the idea being that it will increase the jet's flavour appeal to a garfish. A good burley can be made by mixing sardines into breadcrumbs and adding a little water. A little fish oil can be added once the water has been absorbed. I use about a dessert spoon of oil to half a kilo of burley. But garfish can be tricky. They'll bite for a while and then they'll stop, and the reasons can be many and varied. The tide may have turned, the conditions may be getting rougher or calmer, the water may be getting deeper or shallower, or it may be becoming more cloudy or sunny. But for reasons known best to garfish, they now want their bait presented to them in a different manner, and this will require a change in rig. I will now go to a day where I used 4 different rigs. This rig uses a float that slides between 2 swivels that are about 20 centimetres apart. To the bottom swivel I attach a hook snooted on 10 centimetres of line. Using one hook saves both bait and time and avoids the tangles that the odd double header can cause. I also put a fresh bait on with every cast and seldom leave my line in the water for more than a minute, which is another good reason for only using one hook. The plan is that the fish will be drawn to the burley float with the bait just 10 centimetres away. I'll wait for more than a half minute and then gotcha. But this rig has 2 disadvantages. Firstly, the float bobs in rough water, which can prevent the fish from taking the bait. And secondly, the fish feels the immediate drag of the float when it bites and sometimes lets go. So next, I'll try something that usually overcomes these problems. This time I am putting a mini float 10 centimetres out from the main float and am attaching the hook to that. This worked well for a while, but as the tide came in and the water got rougher, I needed to try something else. To overcome the changing conditions, I'm shifting the mini float to 20 centimetres out from the main float. But I'm leaving a mini float in the halfway position because it helps prevent the rig from tangling when you cast it. Contact. And another garfish bites the sand. I have caught more gar on this last rig than all my other rigs combined. Its secret is the wooden pencil float, which has minimal drag in the water and does not bob about when the sea gets rough. This float also casts further than my other floats, both with and against the wind. The float has 2 slots for holding burley, but you cannot buy these floats with the slots already in them. You have to buy a plain wooden float and cut the slots yourself. I use a drill and a sharp knife to do this job. A swivel fixed to one end of the float allows me to attach a single hook snooded to 10 centimetres of line. However, this float does have a serious problem. It can be almost impossible to see at times. You have to detect the bite by feeling for a slight increase of tension on the line, or by seeing a slight straightening of its belly between the rod tip and the water. On this day, the float is easy to see. I cast out and am rewarded by an almost instant hookup. As a final tip, garfish are normally timid biters. They have quick reflexes and can let go of the bait the instant they smell a rat. Having to straighten up the float during the strike often gives them time to do this. But striking with a float in line takes this chance away. Keep checking Facebook when Pop took us fishing for more videos by an old bloke who has been fishing for more than 70 years.